Last time we had a look at the NV180 Portable VCR, and the goal was mostly to show or discover how to re-lubricate the video head to stop it from vibrating and allow it to work normally again. And in that video that video went a bit off course and became a bit long-winded. And in the process, we had a look at a bunch of other VCRs and found this one here, a National AG-2400, which is another version of the NV180, and it's the Japan one NTSC, and it has a very vibrating head. So I thought in this video we should try to do a better job at re-lubricating the head and see if we can get this going well. But along the way, I thought I had a US version of this AG-2400 model, so I went rummaging around. What I thought was it turned out to be this, which is another PV8000. So it's a slightly bent, weirdly bent, I think someone's done something to that version, that has stereo sound, but it's still linear sound, not hi-fi audio. So it seems to be the silver version of this, which is the PV8000G, which we did briefly look at last time, and PV8000 nothing. We'll save those for a future video because, again, we're going off course already. Also for a future video, look at this, I found the Panasonic. This one is PV9000, so that's the version that's got the extra lump on it for hi-fi audio. So we'll look at that another time too. And also in the piles, I think I got about 5 more of this style, NV180 style VCR, and I think 3 of them are the hi-fi ones. So yeah, more stuff to look at, but not today. Today we're going to look at this AG-2400. But wait, there's more. I also dug out, look at this. It's a color video camera VZC90, and it's the Japan version, so it'll be NTSC. So let's try it on this VCR just to get things going. We'll set this up and try it out. 10-pin camera connector, and then got this good power supply again, and the video output connection. And this video camera, VZC90, appears to be the same as a WVP100. This is the service manual for the PAL version. It's really nice. It's printed on really nice paper. It's good old stuff. Really nice drawings and things. Anyway, we'll take apart this camera another time and poke it about. Good quality lens on there. And does it really have no output? Hang on a minute. There is a switch on the back here. There we go, look at that. So it was on the keep warm setting because yeah, it has like full off standby kind of deal. Then it's got a medium standby where it keeps the heaters on in the tube of the camera, and then you can switch it to actual on, and that way it starts up pretty fast. Yeah, that had a beautiful green picture. Pretty high quality. Nice soft eject on that. It's what we like to see. And what we found was, I'm going to do it now. There we go. Yeah, there's quite a lot of vibrating noise coming from that. So let's see if we can address that. From looking at comments and thinking about it, I think that what we can do, you don't need to take the whole thing apart. You take the head drum top off from the top. So let's try that. So we'll get it apart and then we'll start having a look. I suppose we could skip over most of this in the edit because we already saw the process of taking it apart and don't really need to repeat that. That will come off, that will slide out. Then there's this back piece with the connectors. And there's these two countersunk screws in there. And I think we won't need to take the bottom off at all. I think that can just stay there, though I'm not 100% sure whether it will be clipped in or not. Each side the control panel. I'm going to take the cassette door off. Now in theory we're ready to take it apart. But I just wonder if there's there's some clips on the bottom. Maybe we do need to take the bottom off to help get the clips out. Now it was suggested that you don't need to put grease down the sides of the shaft of the head. You only needed it on the top, the frost plate thing. So perhaps we should try that as a first attempt today to see if it restores operation. Oh, what is going on in there? The wire is tangled up. Just remembered what I need to get, which is I need to go and find the other one of these battery terminal things that I took the spring off of, so I don't need to destroy that one. In theory, we can just do this from the top. It looks very nice and clean inside. There's no dust. The outside of the case looks a little bit rough. So I thought the inside might be rough too, but it doesn't seem to be. It's all nice and clean and good. The other concern that was raised is that, get that out without bashing it into the head. So the other concern that was raised is that when you undo these screws, the ones that you're not supposed to, explicitly says in the manual, do not remove these, that the head cylinder drops down and that can crack off the video heads. So you need to put something in the sides there, like not where the heads are, but in the sides, a packer, a shim, to lift it up to prevent it from dropping down. I think we need to explore that a bit closely. I have another video head that is already damaged from another machine, so perhaps we should investigate that carefully. Let's even get this going first, but I need to grab the battery terminal thing. I'll prepare some stuff, one moment. So this video head is one that was good condition. It's from a newer model machine, and I accidentally destroyed it by removing the newer machines. They have a little head cleaning roller with a foam thing on it that gets perished and goes gross. So I pulled that off, but left the bracket for it, and when the tape threaded up, it knocked into the side of the head and smashed off one of the heads. So this is a bit ruined, but it's the same style, and I thought maybe it's a good one to investigate taking these screws out and seeing how far that drops down. So as these 3 screws are removed, that plate gets lifted up by the force. It's close. And it's probably worth protecting it because it looks like the head part is touching the lower drum there. This is the damaged ones. Oh, it's already broken, so I'm not that concerned about ruining it here. That, yes, that shows the need to protect it. So I got this stuff. It's maybe what you call elephant hide or Nomex. That's just what was at hand, and it's a fairly thick material. And I'm going to cut it into some strips. Cut off the edges because they're kind of folded over a bit. think this was from one of those Phoenix contact power supplies that I took apart. And I'm just going to cut it into some bits. Now, 2 thicknesses of that is pretty much what we want to go in there, and that will prevent it from falling down at all. Maybe we don't need to put 2 thicknesses in, and that one would be enough, because we just don't want it to drop down completely. Drop down a little bit won't be too bad. Okay, so that's shimmed up. Now we'll remove this top. We'll put a bit of that good grease in there, and we'll see if the operation is restored. Now the other thing that I was thinking about later on after I did the previous videos, maybe the reason they say don't remove this thing is because it'll be almost impossible to get it back in the right position, because see, it's got 3 screws there, and the plate that those 3 screws are pushing on we can't get it out now because it's not being pushed down. So that plate, maybe it's not. For some reason I was thinking that this plate had 3 screws and that it was rounded, and that part was rounded so that as you tighten them up in the right way it would tilt it to get it perfectly flat, but I guess that's not the case. Yeah, so that was just something that I'd imagined or wondered. So perhaps the real reason you don't take it off is because you'll wreck the heads. Just look in this other one, just in case I was thinking about something. Definitely got some kind of grease on there. It's kind of yellowy bits on it. This one has got the extra heads for hi-fi audio, but it's ruined, so it doesn't matter what it has because it's not going to work again. So let's try. We'll just wipe that off, and we'll wipe off this part, and we'll put a new blob of grease on there, and then we'll put it back together and see if it comes back to life. Got this good stuff. I'm nearly 20 years old. Let's put a nice generous blob of that on there, and then we'll put that plate back on, and then we'll see what it does. This little guy. Just get those started. So it's definitely in the right direction. I suppose it's a good idea to evenly torque these up. Okay. De-shim it. This still rattles side to side. Yeah, when you tip it, it's still doing rattling around. And we can't test that other one now because that's fallen apart. So maybe it does still need grease down the shaft. But let's power it up like this and then find out. Non-spring power connected thingy in. And then we're going to have to clean all the head up because we poked it around too much. Made it dirty. And we should clean up the rest of the tape path as well, just to get greases and fingerprints and things off of the bits that the tape touches. Okay, everything seems pretty clean. I wonder if I've been in this before and cleaned it. Pretty high chance that I've done that. Most of the muck off this thing, being careful to avoid where the heads stick out. Yeah, you don't want to get that near the heads because you're going to get fluff all over them. Now we've got to find a piece of paper. Should have prepared that before. Still think it's not going to be good enough because I can still feel it rocking around. But we might as well try it. Wow. The thing that does the eject, that thing there, lost its mojo, isn't it? That's a soft eject thingy. It's supposed to provide some resistance, but it's not doing that anymore. Should we put in the good tape? The one that's... I think this is what we played last time. Let's give it a go. Tracking needs adjusting. Well, not rattling anymore. And the picture seems to be pretty good. So we can get the slow picture good. It's not very heavy about the slow picture. It's quite distorted on the screen I've got here. Not sure why that is. Oh well. Yeah, maybe something's happened. Ooh, that's a little bit dodgy, isn't it? Is there something wrong with controlling the tape? No? And going forward and backwards? So I guess we should just leave this running for a while and see... Well, maybe that's all we need to do. I was just concerned that it's rocking around a bit. But... it's not doing the horrible vibrating thing anymore, and it seems to be playing fine. So, perhaps we'll just... Well, I don't know. It's a thing. Let's see what... I guess this tape is all... boxing? While we're here then, why don't we see what's on this tape? Master High Grade Video Cassette. This one's also, yeah, a Dynamicon. It says Master HG Limited, specially designed for the video library. Gives an outstanding picture and super clear sound. That's nice. Good quality tapes. Let's see what this one's got to say. Oh, maybe there isn't anything on this one. I don't know, it's definitely been used because the tape pack is not like even. It seems like it's been ran to 3 different positions. Wind it on a bit and see. I got all sorts of tapes, and it seemed like some of them had been maybe bulk erased because they still had labels on them, text on them, but appeared to be blank. Then that doesn't have anything written on it, and it has stuff on it. And that looks like a blank tape. Oops. Yeah, maybe there is something up with controlling the motors, because it's the second time it's made that weird noise. If you're just replacing the heads, then it's those 2 screws there, and desolder the pins that have the arrows pointing to them. Okay, so the Dynamicon tape has got nothing on it by the look of it. The Master HG has got stuff on it. Interesting, because that was the first one we tried from that big stack that I had last time. Maybe it's the only one that's got stuff on it. Great. Let's just leave that running for a few moments, and while that's occurring, there's one more thing to have a look at today. I just want to let this run in for a while, and well, I want to see whether it stays working or not. So perhaps I'll come back in an hour or so with an update and say, yeah, look at that, it's still going mint. Or, no, it started vibrating again. Wondering if we should put it back together as part of this video. Maybe. Anyway, this is another thing that was in the junk heap. So it's something. I think I was going to try and determine what this is. I'm guessing this is from an M5 or an M7 camera? Maybe. Or maybe it's an MS1. I don't know, but listen to that. That's definitely ruined. In the same way, and it's got those 3 little screws on the top. So, we'll see if we can... Unfortunately, we can't turn this one on because I don't know where the rest of the stuff is. It's just another thing in the piles of junk. But if we put a little bit of grease under there and then it stops making that noise, let's shim this thing. Now the gap is a lot thinner on this one. Can't really fit that in there at all. Alright, we're just going to take it apart, just to have a look in there. The other thing that's weird is it didn't doesn't appear to be an easy way of getting this off. There are some screws down there, but they're covered up by that part on the bottom. Although, maybe you can just push past the flexible board. Should we take it out? I don't know. I think it really matters, does it? Let's just get this off and see what happens. Yeah, so it's gone stiff now. So yeah, there was a gap that could be shimmed by tiny shims if you got tiny shims. Shims. Also, interestingly, what would happen if you wanted to replace this head? How would you do that? Wow, now that's really dried out. See that it's gone all kind of black. Let's give it a bit of a wipe with IPA. Let's get this out of the way. So we don't need to see it. We're just listening for the head going bad. Okay, so it doesn't spin at all now because it's flat, obviously. Put a little blob of grease on there and we'll screw it back on and then we'll see if it runs smooth. Not a proper test though because we can't actually run it for real, but there you go, there's a mess of grease on there now. Pop this little guy back in. Do up the tiny little screws. The head of the screws again is a Torx type head connection interface, but the screws themselves are a much finer pitch thread. Well, there you go. No, it's still making a little bit of noise. No, I think that... whatever was holding that on isn't holding it very well. Yeah, maybe this one needs a bit more, I don't know. I wonder if something else has happened to that and it's sitting lower down than it's supposed to. Anyway, it's pretty much sorted now from just doing the top thrust plate thing. So perhaps that's all you need to get your old VCRs back in operation, stop their head vibrating. A lot easier than taking the whole thing apart. A bit weird why the slow and pause on this one don't work. Maybe the heads are already pre-ruined by someone else on this. The heads that are involved in that. Don't know. Still going well though. Alright, get this out of the way. Well, perhaps we'll just have a look. Always distractions. Let's see. Can we get the whole head drum assembly out? Oh, it unplugs. Okay, there you go. Ah, that's stupid. I just put this thing back on though. Take that off again. The grounding wire thing. That's so compact, isn't it? Okay, I want to get rid of this without making a mess from the grease that's on the bottom of it. So on the bottom of this, so that's the windings, the motor windings connection, and that there is from the RF. You see it's got this little doofy sockets and it just plugs into there a particular way around, which now is unknown. Maybe it is known. There's two things poking out on there. There's three holes on there, but one of them appears blocked. So I'd say it goes around like that. Could be. It's pushed itself back on. Do wonder, is the normal method for taking this thing off just pulling it off like that? Something's loose in there. Oh, okay. Oops. Yes, the magnet's on there. And this, let's just take it apart. That's what we're doing. We're taking it apart. Do you want to see more just random teardowns of stuff? Because we can do it. Got enough stuff. Random, as in not really trying to fix it, just taking something apart because we feel like it. It's almost like a planar transformer type thing. Look at it. The coils are made from PCB. It must be like 4 or 6 layer PCB with just windings made on it. And then it's kind of sealed together. I've broken it. Trying to pop the plastic bits apart. Yeah, it's just a planar transformer type thing. Amazing. Alright, for the final act, we'll put this thing back together and then just test it out again. Just stop this momentarily. Probably should look into the soft eject mechanisms at some point. We'll do that in a future video when we're taking one of these apart for good. For good? Just taking one of these apart. Let's just unplug that because it's easier. Okay, that seems to have gone together to some degree. That's like that. This bottom plate goes in. Has it lost a clip? No. Oh. We've done something bad to this to make it angry. Oh, it's supposed to go on the bottom first, then the top. Okay. That's alright. We were missing a screw, weren't we? There were only 2 screws in this bottom part. And those other 2 long screws were from the thing at the back, the connector. There is a difference. That sound feels very dodgy. I don't think that's meant to have like a screw that goes into a plastic. There is a difference. The machines that the PV8000 and 9000 have an additional feature that this AG and the NV180 don't have, which is that they can plug onto a docking station type thing, which has got the timer and tuner built into it, and there's line screws which show there's clamps and hook things on the bottom to make that work, which you don't get on these other models. Did feel a bit tight trying to get that front panel on. Not really sure why. You're also not good leaning it on its front like that. Okay, so original battery holder thing. Battery terminal thing. Probably should have put it in before when we could get to it. Just like that. And this thing screws on with these 2 screws. Except, did I mess that up by putting one of the long screws that it wanted for that in the bottom panel? I think so. Because there were different length screws. I ignored them. They're the same. That's longer. Okay, so that didn't go there. So be mindful of that. The longer screws are for this back terminal. Oops, for this back terminal thing, adapter connector. Okay, that's good. Now this back doofy, which you need to slide the. So that needs a hook in there, but also it needs to have the battery terminal thing go in at the right angle. So cover. Then the final 2 screws here hold that assembly in. Pretty much everything's using a number 1 JIS. Not quite everything, but most things. And finally the cassette door. And what we'll probably find is as soon as we get this all back together and turn it on again, the vibration thing is back. The usual story. This just seems a bit bent out of shape. Oh no, we didn't put this thing back in. Now we're going to take it all apart again. Okay, we'll take it all apart again. We'll take everything apart again. We'll take this off. Now we'll put this thing back on. A little bit of grease on there. Not that much, anyway. Now we can get this thing back in without it smashing the video head off. Put the screw back in. Okay, good. So that's that. Now we'll put it all back together again. Just got to make sure that the power switch is in the right position, otherwise it won't work, because it will be like offset, because this little lever thing on the front has to line up with the switch on the PCB and down below. Hopefully, and we lost both of those screws in the process. The two little countersunk screws, the battery holder thing. Alright, look at that. Now it's got all the bits in it. Or did we forget something else? Better not have. Now you see there's a little clip there, so it slides under those hooks like that to retain it, and then you can line it up when you're doing up these screws to make sure it's nice and centered before you finally tighten them. Then these little bungs go in there, just make it look nice. Great. Now let's get this thing juiced up and see if it still works. Let's see. What? There's a line there now. Was that something we did to it? Or is it just like that on this tape? Hopefully that's just part of the tape and it will just be like that. Yeah, I don't have another tape that's got stuff on it hanging about here. Anyway, what I'm going to do is we'll just leave this running for maybe an hour or so, and then I'll come back and say, is it still going or not? Does that sound like a good idea? I'll try to remember to do that. But yeah, I'm going to just leave this running for a while. We'll see if it can get to the end of the tape maybe, and then try and remember to do an update on, is it still working? And maybe that means re-oiling your head is easy, because you just shim it so you don't crack the heads under the little screws, clean off what mess is under there, put a bit of nice grease in there, put the screws back in, done. Right, if I remember, we'll check back in an hour or so, probably more than that. Oh no, I ruined it. That switch is in the wrong place. Maybe that's why it was having a struggle to get the front on. Oh well, can't win them all. Let us take this off. Probably not. Oops, there you go. Okay, so that switch needs to be in the left position. Okay. Yeah, the switches are all in the correct position now. Oops. Yeah, these things are a bit fiddly. Anything's a bit fiddly. Because they've been made with the least possible materials in every part to try and get it as lightweight as possible. So it makes it a bit flimsy. Alright, I'll get back to you in quite a while, and we'll see if this machine is still working. It's a bit over 2 hours since, and I did stop it and rewind the tape back to the beginning and start it again, 2-hour tape, and look, it's right at the end now. It's still running, the picture's still okay, but every few moments I can hear a slight vibration noise coming out of there, so I don't think it's perfectly fixed. I assume what it needs is some grease down the sides and not just on the top, but it's pretty hard to know because I don't have much experience trying to get these things going and checking them long term. But you can still do that from the top. You just got to take that circlip off and lift the head assembly out and then grease it a bit and stick it back. So pretty successful probably, but not sure how long it's going to last. Maybe the grease I used is not the right stuff, and it's also very old, so probably not the best stuff, but it proves it is possible. So thanks for watching, and let me know what you think, and then we'll do some other stuff next time. Not sure what that's going to be at the moment. There's quite a lot to get through eventually. Yeah, I definitely think it needs some grease down the sides, because when I stop this, you can hear it wobbling around as the head slows down. So yeah, that's no good.